Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jordan Brown, your future Austin area realtor. And today in this video, we're going to be going over the cost of living in Leander in 2024. Many of you may be here from a past video that I made, which was the pros and cons of living in Leander. If you haven't seen that video yet, you can check that out right over here. A lot of the insights that I'm going to be able to provide come from a place of not just being a realtor here in the area, but also being a resident here in Leander since 2018. I've seen a lot of changes happen, especially in the housing market. We're going to go over that pretty in depth. So stick around, and if you hear something that you like, I would love your subscription. Give me a like, leave me a comment, let me know what you enjoyed about the video or things that you think I forgot. That way I can discuss them in a future video. But without further ado, let's get into it. Many of the things that I'm going to discuss here today are on the leandertx.gov website. These are a 2023 average of household expenses. This is going to vary, obviously, based a little bit on how your expenses look. But just to give you an idea of what an average citizen here in Leander, Texas spends, that is the whole purpose of this video. So to get started, we're going to go over what an average, what does the demographic of Leander look like? Who is living here? What are their incomes like? And so forth. So let's get a feel for it. Based on 2023's numbers, there's a very close split. It's 50-50 between men and women who live in Leander. The median age is 36 years old, and the average household income in Leander is $126,655 per year as a household. That is 16% higher than the county, 67% more than the state, and 60% more than the national average. So basically, if you're living in Leander, I'm assuming you're probably living here but working maybe in tech or working in nearby Austin, Cedar Park. There's not like a big corporation or anything like that that's housed out of Leander. So that's where that money's coming from. Average household income, $126,000 per year. Again, more than the state, pretty significantly more than the state in the national average. So to live in Leander, you've got to be kind of in that echelon there. Now, when it comes to education, 30.97% have a bachelor's degree, which is majority of the breakdown here. Roughly 2/3 of the population work white-collar jobs. Again, I mentioned tech a little bit earlier, as opposed to blue-collar. Let's talk about what's probably going to be your biggest expense, your biggest monthly expense for sure, is housing. The city allocated $19,059 per year, or $1,588.25 per month towards housing. Now look, there's a lot of variables here. As a realtor and a resident, I've gone through the buying process myself. My monthly is around that range that they put. However, I bought in 2018. I refinanced in December of 2020. My interest rate is 2.875, which is a lot different than what we're at now, which is high sixes, low sevens. So there's a little bit of, obviously your own personal situation is going to be involved here. A lot of people are renting as well, and you can find housing that's just a little bit over that as a rental. It's not like everyone is in a position to buy, and that's perfectly fine. And a lot of these landlords are people who bought during the pandemic when interest rates were really low, and they refinanced, and now they own a property. They became landlords. They're renting it out to other people. That's a pretty common thing. Lots of people did that during that pandemic era, not just in Leander, but around the country. For the sake of this argument, we're going to use the average for April of 2024 because the May data isn't quite out yet. I promise I'll have that in a separate video whenever it's available. So depending on the source that you look at, the average Leander home for April of 2024 was right in the range of about $470,000. And for reference, the median price for all of Williamson County, which Leander is in, was $435,000. So it's a little bit more expensive from a housing perspective to live in Leander than, say, Liberty Hill, Jarrell, some of Georgetown, Round Rock. Those are all within Williamson County. Leander, Cedar Park are definitely on the higher end there. Let's just assume that you're putting a 20% down payment so that you can avoid PMI. We'll use the national average interest rate we're gonna go at 7.25%, because depending on when you're watching this, that was the average closer to that time frame for April. If it's gone down, fantastic. It's gonna be a little bit less than the numbers that I'm going over right now. If it's gone up, it's gonna be higher. This is before any discount points or permanent buy downs or temporary buy downs on your interest rate. So that makes your breakdown look like this. You have your principal and interest at $2,564.98. You have your property taxes at $916.08. And you have your home insurance at an estimated $266.33 per month. So in total, just in housing, you're looking at about $3,747 per month. Now, again, plenty of rental options that are below that average. This is also assuming only a 20% down payment. So many variables here. Do not blow me up in the comments over this. I just want to get you averages. Here's a quick stat about Leander housing. 28% more households own their home as opposed to renting. So lots of people buy in Leander instead of opting for renting. Next, let's talk about utilities. So LeanderTX.gov allocated $6,120 per year or $510 per month towards your utilities. Water at $100, your electric's gonna be between $125 and $250. I'll throw up a pic here of my average electric bill. We do have solar panels. However, you would think that solar panels would offset a big portion of your bill. They completely changed the way that you get credited for that and how it all works. I'm not a fan of that because it massively undercuts the benefit of solar if you're buying in Leander. Internet, about 80 bucks. I think that's a good average depending on your provider. TV, $100, and trash, $80 per quarter. That's how we're coming up around those figures. Next, let's talk about transportation. Everyone's got to have a car. They get to and from work. This is another expense that's going to be heavily dependent on your specific situation. The city claims that household expenditure here is $16,408 per year or $1,367.33 per month. That seems like a lot to be spending on cars, but when you figure that you have, your car, your significant other probably has a car, maybe a kid or two that all have cars, easily could be in that $1,300 to $1,400 range. I'm going to assume that this car payment includes gas and insurance. I'm not 100% certain. They don't really break that down on there. Fun fact here, car insurance rates in Leander tend to actually be a little cheaper than the national average. As the population goes, we'll see how that changes. I've talked to other people, which, I don't know if I 100% agree with this. I've talked to people who have insurance in other places, and I feel like we get penalized for being really close to Austin. I have a brother in Kansas City, and he's in Mission, Kansas, and when we were talking insurance, because we both have Teslas, and we have the same model and everything, I'm paying almost double what his is, and I don't have any wrecks or anything on my insurance. So who knows what's going on with that, but I think it's because we're super close to Austin. So next we're going to talk about dining. Now, Leander isn't known for its extremely diverse cuisine or anything of that sort. I do have a few of my favorites. I'm going to be making a video on the best Leander eats around town. I'm just going to assume that these people are either eating out a little bit here, like here in Leander, or they're going to nearby Cedar Park. Georgetown has some really great options, and so does Round Rock. I find that my wife and I do that a lot, where if we're craving something to eat, it's probably not something that we're picking up from one of the chains that are here in Leander. If it's not a locally owned spot here, we're going somewhere else. I talk about that a lot in that pros and cons video. So the city of Leander gives this expense an average of $13,083 per year, which brings us to a monthly total of $1,090.25. Now, when I heard over $1,000 per month on food, I kind of freaked out because I was like, there's no way. And these totals, again, are 100% dependent on your eating habits. But if you're eating out a lot, I guess it's really not that shocking, right? Because you figure each person is probably 10 to 12 bucks for like an average fast food meal these days. Inflation's kind of crazy. So, the average sit down restaurant is 20 bucks per person easily. So I could see that totally being the case. I think that's a fair average. Next is going to be healthcare. I don't have a whole lot to add here. They just added, they have the average household spending of $7,204 per year on healthcare, health insurance. This comes out to about $600 per month. And if you're self-employed like me, you know that that is much higher. Another category, entertainment, averaging about $200. 100% dependent on how your spending habits are. You know, between going to the movies over at Cedar Park, Top Golf, you know, anything that you can do to entertain yourself. I think going out for drinks, could easily spend $200 per month. That's probably being a little bit conservative too. So there you have it. That's a general average breakdown of some of the costs that you can expect to incur if you're living in Leander. Let me know in the comments, what did I leave out? What costs are you concerned about with a potential move to Leander? And look, Leander is not the cheapest place to live. We saw that the household income basically has to be 60 to 67% higher than the state and national averages to support a lifestyle here. Probably not what a lot of people want to know, or like what you want to hear. But it just is what it is. Right now, housing prices are coming down post-pandemic. If you don't know, Austin's area, the greater Austin area was the #1 most depreciated place for home values in 2023. And we are currently trending to be the #1 highest increase of pre-pandemic inventory right now. So that's kind of crazy. Not great things if you're in real estate and if you bought a home here within the last year to 2 years, but plenty of opportunity with those housing prices coming down. Tons of inventory on the market. Sellers are getting a little more desperate to sell. So buyers are kind of having their way right now. I'd say 95% of my business is buyers. So if this is you and you want to connect with me and learn, make a game plan. If you're not scared by what you just heard today, let's game plan. Let's figure out what your budget is and if we can make something happen. My contact information is in the description below. Look forward to hearing from you and helping you with all your real estate needs. Again, if you found any of this useful, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm going to make it a habit to make videos more consistently on this channel. I do walkthroughs all the time. I showcase a lot of the new construction that's going on in Williamson County specifically. And there's just a lot of value to be had on this channel. I'm going to be doing market updates and more. So if that's of interest to you, I would appreciate a subscription. And thank you so much for watching. And I'll catch you in the next one.